Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about it. What is a field that every single task app on the planet has? Okay, I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about this. All right, do you have your answer? Okay. Is it due date? Right? They all have due date, every single one. And I think this is really interesting because due date is not actually something that is helpful in figuring out what we have to do today. I think this field, it just doesn't make any sense because we never want to sort our task list by due date. If we sort our task list by due date, then it just makes us do a whole bunch of mental math, right? Now we have to figure out, okay, well, what are the steps? How do I work backwards? Like, should I really do this today? It's how so many people that I work with find themselves in this kind of always last minute habit because the thing that they are tracking is the due date and only the due date. And so they're always just thinking about the next due date, and there's always due dates coming up. So we're always acting at the very last possible minute to get something done. And that is incredibly stressful. Now, date is very important. This is an important thing to have in a task app, or anytime we're tracking our tasks, even if you're doing that in a spreadsheet or something else. That's an important thing, but it's not the due date that we necessarily want. It is the due date, the DO date. Now, this is, of course, more easily written than it is said, but what we're talking about is the DUE date, like when it is actually due, versus the DO date. When are you going to do the next step? When are you going to do the thing to move it forward? And what I really think is that we should co-opt that due date field in any task app to mean the DO date or the next action date. So when are we going to actually do the next thing to move it forward? Now, the reason that we want to do this is because when we sort our task list by the next action date or the DO date, now it helps us figure out, okay, what do we need to do today and tomorrow and into the future in order to meet those end result deadlines, due dates. Now, you might say, but of course I need to know the due date of things. Yeah, of course, you do need to know the due date of things when there is a real due date. So much stuff in life does not have a real due date, but for the things that really do, like taxes, a launch date of something, you have maybe committed to something on a certain date, you've made a promise, like these types of things, you do need to know what that due date is. And so what I would suggest is that you just put that in parentheses in the end of the task name, whatever that is. So if you don't have two date fields in your task system, then you want to use the only date field to mean the due date, the next action date, when are you going to do the thing. And then you can just put the due date, the deadline in parentheses so that it's top of mind, you know when it is, and you're taking that into consideration when you change the next action date, when you kind of figure out when you're actually going to do the work, but not that you're using that as a sorting mechanism. Because if you use that deadline or that due date as a sorting mechanism, it doesn't actually help us figure out what we need to do, right? Now, if you are working with a task app that has multiple date fields, co-opt the main one, the one that's going to have all the sorting based off of it, co-opt that to mean next action date or the DO date. If there's a secondary field or if you can add custom fields, go ahead and add a custom field for a deadline, right? It won't have all the same sorting function probably as the native date, and that is fine. But if you want that separately there, fine. But what I would encourage you to do is do not add deadlines for things that don't have them. Right? Don't give yourself fake arbitrary deadlines for things. We want to really have our task systems be a thing that drives the work forward, not something that we reference to see when, so that we can do all this mental math in our head to figure out when to do the thing. So this is just a short one, just a short little video about the difference between the due date, DUE, when something is actually due, and the due date when you're actually going to do it. Big difference. Kind of confusing because they sound the same, but there is a big difference. And I think task apps, they get it wrong. The due date, the final deadline, that is not the date we want to be sorting by. All right. Now, if you like this content, give it a like. If you want to keep seeing it in your feed, please subscribe. That helps to make sure that you never miss anything. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Hi, it's the video editor here. I just want to tell you guys that only 14% of you guys are subscribed, so make sure to like and subscribe on the video right now, as only 14% of you guys are subscribed. So make sure to hit up the like button and subscribe. Thank you, bye.